So, good morning, friends and my dear students. I welcome you all in my second video, and today again we will deal with writing skill. So, today I'll tell you something about very happening topic, that is story writing. Often students have query, sir, what should we do when we are dealing with story writing? Here, you know that normally not many rules are told and not much practice is taken. But here we'll discuss this topic, and as well I'll tell you how can you score 5 out of 5 marks in this topic. And you can score 5 out of 5 marks if you are not committing some mistakes and if you are following some rituals. You know that what is the most an urgent requirement of story writing is you should not write wrong English. Write simple English, no doubt, but it should not be wrong. You should not commit spelling mistake. You should not commit grammatical mistakes. So here we go ahead with this very topic of writing skill. Here we see this topic goes for 5 marks, compulsory one. Whether it is higher English or lower English, it goes for 5 marks. Approximately 12 minutes are allotted to write this topic. Now we'll see what precautions, what measures, what custom, what system, what rituals we have to follow to write one effective story which can fetch you 5 out of 5 marks. Remember, children, I'm talking about 5 out of 5 marks. One principle of story writing is that before you start writing story, one principle you always remember. The principle is that never start your story before you know the end. Have end in your mind first, then you start writing story. Story becomes catchy. Story becomes interesting. Story becomes enchanting only when it has an effective and impressive end. So remember one thing about the first thing about story writing is that you should have one very interesting end. Let's go ahead about what things we have to remember when we are writing story. Now here we see these are the rubrics of story writing. What do you mean the rubrics? Titles or principles of writing story, points to be remembered when we are writing story. First, it should be a catchy title. This first we'll discuss about catchy title. What do you mean by catchy title? Your title should be impressive. You know that we go to movie and often we go to watch movie on hearing its title only. Title has its own charm. It has its own attraction. If you have impressive title, so certainly the valuer, the checker will certainly tempt to read your story. Title can be anything like that haunted night, the lone way, or lost child, lost way, drizzling night, unforgettable moment of my life. Oof, what happened next? And after that, I never opened the door for strangers. Like that. See that your title plays a major role. It is a pivotal. It is a pilot of your entire story. If your title is not impressive, so the viewer perhaps think that this story might be ordinary and ordinarily you will get marks on that story. So it's very necessary that you should have one catchy title. Second, direction, character and situation. When you start writing story, you should have one situation first. See, children, story writing is just like making movie, making picture. You know that when you go to see movie, at once they are not revealing all the facts before you. First, they just show you the direction. There is a picture of temple, there is a picture of railway station, there is a picture of any kitchen, there is a picture of war scene, anything. They show you first something. You are also expected to show something. describe something that is a situation. Like I tell you, if you have one good story, bright story, so that story may have something. That story may start in the morning or in afternoon or in the evening. So you have just a description of that story. Like it was a bright morning, the birds were chirping, the day was just raising its opening eye. The sun was just rising. Its pink and delicate rays were painting the entire atmosphere. Like that, you just describe the direction. So let there be 4 to 5 lines, and that can be ready-made one. You can have ready-made description. I have ready-made description in my copy, and I ask my children to use the same description to start your story. After description, initially you cannot have anything. Just describe the scene. Create that atmosphere. Just engage the reader. Show him, tell him or her that you are going to present something very unusual. Then there should be characters. See, children, unless and until you have character in your story is just like an essay. Let there be a character, and let there be a befitting description of a character. There are many characters in our life. There is a policeman, there is a teacher, there is a milkman, there is a paper boy, there is a doctor, there is a greengrocer, there is a vegetable seller, there is electrician, painter, plumber, so many characters are there. Your mother, your father, your brother, your friend. What you do, you describe the character. Like I tell you, so I was going and there I reached in the square and there was standing a huge policeman. That policeman was huge. He has a bushy mustache. He has a square chin. He has a big piercing eyes, and he had a broad chest. Like a demon, like a monster, he was standing before me and he asked me, "Where are you going, boy?" So this creates impression. It is very necessary that you should have character. Couple of character must be delineated, portrayed in your story. What are the benefits of having character? The benefit of having character is that you can have ready-made characteristic first. Let there be some characteristic in your copy. A description of policeman, description of milkman, description of conductor, description of driver, description of friend, description of your mother, description of your teacher. So place ready-made characters there in your story. Whatever may be the theme of your story, let there be a character. Because remember, your story is incomplete without character. So let there be a character and have befitting description of that character. Present that description. First direction, second character. Then conversation. I tell you how to beautify your story. Story is different from essay writing, letter writing, speech writing, report writing. From all these types of writing skills, story writing is different. Story writing has to be decorated with conversations. How can there be a conversation? Like I started a story, I gave description of a bright morning, I gave description of a milkman. Then there is a dialogue. I thought, what should I do today? Inverted comma start, inverted comma complete. Before that, there is question. Then my mother gave me a call. Sachin, are you ready for your school? Inverted comma, start inverted comma, complete inverted comma, place question mark in between that. And then, yes, 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 mama, I'm ready. Just wait a minute. After that, 3 dot and exclamatory mark. See, punctuation marks are the jewelry of your story writing. Enthrall, decorate your story with punctuation marks. It is very necessary. Make it beautiful one. So when that story is presented, story is written in your copy, that time you should remember that story should appear decorated. And how does it help? It helps to lengthen your story. It helps to enhance the size of your story. So it is very necessary that to have conversation, equally punctuation marks. I am not asking you to give excessive, unnecessary punctuation marks, but there should be punctuation marks. I have seen children what they are doing normally. They barely put full stop. Forget about other punctuation marks. It's very necessary. Let there be punctuation mark. Every time there should be dialogue. Like I was alone at my home. I was afraid. I was frightened. And I said to myself, who can it be? The one who appears across the window. And then you put decent exclamatory mark and inverted comma complete. Imagine that, how it appears. Then we go ahead with the next rubric, vocabulary. Remember, children, if your English is your vehicle, your vocabulary is your fuel. It's a propeller. Unless and until you have a rich stock of vocabulary, words, you cannot express yourself. You cannot demonstrate yourself. You cannot present yourself. And to present yourself effectively, impressively, you should have words. And a typical words you should have, like skid, skip, slide, crawl. These are smaller words. What happens that I have seen when children are writing story, they are pummeling or right word. They do not have that correct word. And what do? They write anything else. They do compromise. We do compromise with our presentation when we do not have words. Develop a stock of word. And how to develop a stock of word? That quite clear. You should have your own word copy first. I tell you now too, I have my own word copy. I'm carrying with you. See, this is my word copy. I want to show you. Let there be new word daily. Daily is anyhow you collect one word. And it's not very difficult to have new word. Open your dictionary, randomly choose any word, write that word, write its Hindi meaning, write its Marathi meaning, write its English meaning, write its kind also, and try to use that word in your day-to-day colloquial language. Let that word become part of your use. And when the word is part of your use, only then you can use that effectively in your story writing. Suitable tense, big stumper, big difficulty is that children write, but what is the problem? They mix up the tense. See, there is no rule that which tense should be used to write a story, but use only one tense. Now, I want to tell you one thing. We have been checking stories. What happens that child starts writing like this. So there was a man in a village. He was very poor. He used to go to his farm daily. He was hardworking, and he has 3 children. See the mistake. What do you write? He has 3 children. He had 3 children. Remember that. So this mixing of tense should be avoided, because there is a point where you lose your mark, and there is a point you cannot dream of scoring 5 out of 5 mark. To score 5 out of 5 mark, your story should be flawless. Not a single mistake should be detected by the teacher, and moreover, there should be new words. Like I gave you a title. I might have said points of a story writing. No, I said rubrics of story writing. Now you will say, sir, where did you bring that word from? No, I did not bring that word from any other source. I tell you, this word is very much available in 10th standard lower English book. The lesson related to success. So there is that word. And when I was teaching 10th standard, that lesson, that time I came to know there is a word like rubric. Rubric means title. So use this word. Don't be afraid of words. Whenever you come across a new word, find its meaning, try to use that word in your active vocabulary. Then shocker end. This is very necessary. I told you, your story is nothing about end. If you do not give satisfactory end, your story is meaningless. I want to tell you how to give an end. I want to tell you one story, very small story. I want to tell you how to delineate it, how to describe it. What happened? Something 5 years ago, when I was in sixth standard, my parents were going for attending nuptial ceremony. Nuptial ceremony means ring ceremony or marriage ceremony. And I had to stay alone at my home because my examinations were going on and I did not have any alternative to stay for 2 days at my home. I was preparing for my examination and it was a night time. Now I should describe here a night time. It was a dark night. It was a moonless night. It was a month of August and light drizzling was going on. There was nobody outside because everybody had hidden in their own home and hearth comfortably. I was alone. All the lights of my house was on because it was necessary for me because I had nectophobia. Nectophobia means fear of night. See, I have used this word. I was doing, and I was trying not to let my imagination soar wildly. I was trying to contract my all attention towards my studies. It was something about 12 o'clock. I heard a loud scream from my kitchen. Now you can imagine my situation. I was alone at my home. I could not call anybody for help. Blood froze in my veins. I was shivering and sweating at the same time, although it was neither summer nor winter. I could not understand what decision should I take. But finally, I landed to the decision that I must go and find out the source of that scream. Because there is no reason that there should be any screaming from my kitchen. I took a solid staff in my hand. Staff means a stick. Staff may have two meanings. And slowly and gradually, I started proceeding towards the direction of the screen. Actually, my house is three-room house. Drawing room, middle room, and kitchen. So I had to cross that middle room also. I started moving towards. Screaming sound again started becoming harder and louder. As I reached into the middle room, light went off. Now what? Now my heart came into my throat. There was no light. There was a pitch darkness around me and the screaming continued again. Had there been light, that light would have been some comfort to me. But since there was no light, it was a very horrible situation for me. I was on the verge of breaking down. I was on the verge of receiving massive heart attack. I was on the verge of crying literally and I was crying. Thanks God, immediately light came. There was entire house lit again. Now I was determined anyhow how I must find out the source of that screaming. Because if I do not find out the reason of that scream, the source of that scream, the cause of that scream, this will become ghost in my mind. This will haunt me throughout my life. I went into the kitchen. In one corner, that screaming was coming loud, but I could not see anybody. You can imagine the situation. I had a sort of trepidation in my mind. What do you mean by trepidation? Trepidation means a fear of what will happen next. I went into that direction. It was kitchen corner. Still, I could not see anybody. I clutched that staff in my hand tightly in case any unusual situation emerges. I will use that staff to protect myself. As I went near that sound, I could not see anybody, as I told you, and it was really threatening situation. And I went near, closer, again closer, again closer. And what did I see there? I could not understand whether I should laugh or cry. Friends, it was cell phone which was ringing. It was a cell phone and my mother had set a ringtone of Raj Patton. You know that screaming, loud screaming is there. I said, my mother, you are too much. And I received my phone. First I scolded my mother. Mom, what is this? You set a ringtone of that Raj Patton. You did not take your cell phone. I did not know what is this. This is the creation of suspense. Small incident it was. And you can give a catchy title to this story. unexpected incident, horrible night, encounter with real fear, like this. So see that you should have shocker end. Unless you have shocker end, your story will not be read with amusement. Then pragmatic moral. This is a start. This is an end. You should have pragmatic moral. And moral can also be ready-made. I'll tell you what can be the moral of your story. So children, after rubrics of story writing, we should see the layout. Remember, for every writing skill, you should know its map, its blueprint, its layout. What should be placed where? If you know the layout, no, so things become very easy to write and go ahead effectively. Now, here we see, children, this is a layout of your story writing. Your story should be of about 150 to 200 words, not more than that. And remember that even if you are writing little longer story, it will not cause any harm to you. So this is the layout. First, there should be title. We talk a lot about title, how it should be, how catchy it should be. I told you everything about it. Remember, your story goes for 5 marks, and if you are not writing title, you cannot expect 5 out of 5 marks in that. You will get below 4 only if you do not give title. Remember that. Then direction, I told you all about direction. We have to describe that scene. Either morning, either afternoon, either evening, ominous night, frightening afternoon, any stranger, lone way, anything. There should be one direction. 2 or 3 lines should be written for direction. Then depiction and dialogue. Depiction means depiction of a character. Remember, children, there will be character and there should be dialogue. Even you can start your story with the dialogue. Like, I tell you one opening of a story. Open into inverted comma. Life is a permanent possibility of sensation. Anything can happen. And same dictum I experienced in my life also, inverted comma, complete, said my friend. You can start. You see, many movies are there, many pictures are there. They are, they have dialogue they have a sort of narration in the beginning. Then suspense. See, children, it is not necessary that only in the ghost story there is suspense. Even in your day-to-day incidences, anecdotes, there can be suspense. I want to tell you one thing. One suspense story I want to tell you in short. My mother gave me a call. She was annoyed. Angrily, she gave me a call. Sachin, did you get out of your bed and see your things? How they are scattered in your room? Inverted comma completed. I called back. Yes, Mama, I'm just getting ready. I will be ready in 10 minutes. Then a thought entered into my mind. What will happen now? Today is the last day of English assignment. And my teacher asked me to submit assignment and my assignment is not ready. Many thoughts were just lingering in my mind. I could not understand how to tackle this situation. I had another thought in my mind. Should I make excuse? Should I make pretense? Should I tell my mother I'm feeling vomiting, I have a stomach ache and all. But I was damn sure that my mother will not entertain my excuses because she is used to it. I did not have any option. I had a lot of fear, apprehension, trepidation in me. Now, what will happen if I go to school? And this is how I created a suspense. With fear in my mind, I reached my school. School started. Assembly got over. I entered into my room. And at once I realized that today my English teacher is absent. So this is reveal. I revealed the story. Or there can be another reveal. Another reveal is that as the school started, teacher came, and as soon as she came, she announced. So children, it was the last day today of submitting your English assignment, but I give you one more day. Tomorrow you are going to submit your English assignment. Huge sigh of relief I heard. This way also, this is a reveal. Suspense, creating suspense does not mean creating any supernatural element in a story. Not necessary. You can have simple suspense, like this is called a reveal. So here is a moral, and you can have same moral in your story. For every kind of story, you can write this ready-made moral. I told you in writing skill, many things should be ready-made, scripted, which helps you save your time, which helps you speed on your work, which helps you fetch better marks. Now here you look at the story, look at the moral very carefully. The story convey, that is very common word. A very lucid and lucrative moral that lucid means easy, lucrative means beneficial. ये word डालिए, and you may say, sir, this is a new word. Don't be afraid. Don't be shy of new words. Let there be new words in your story. Have a collection of new words. After that, the story conveys a very lucid and lucrative moral that. After that, plus you add one sentence. Whatever may be the story. Suppose this is a story about maths assignment. After that, this story conveys a very lucid and lucrative moral that we should do our work on time. Procrastination is not good for our academic development. You add only one line after this moral. See how catchy, how impressive, how enchanting moral it appears with new words. That is very necessary. Words heighten the beauty of your thoughts. Now the question is that how you are asked story writing in the examination. See children, story writing can be asked three ways in the examination. First, either they will give you the opening line of the story. Like, this was the day I was very happy and suddenly something happened. Second, they may give you guidelines. It was an old boy, dash, very clever, dash, went to school, dash, 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 dash. This is a guideline. Third, they may give you closing line in the examination. And you have to develop your story and give that closing to your story. These are the ways you are asked story writing in the examination. But broadly speaking, your story writing can have two types, and you have to recognize those types of story. Clear? So here we'll see your story may be subjective or objective. One thing you remember, children, they'll not tell you that this is an objective story or this is a subjective story, and you have to write a subjective story or objective story. You have to decide it. Which category should your story fall in? You have to decide, you have to shape it accordingly. Often there are many topics which can be treated like a subjective as well as objective. Here you see, subjective story has these features. First is that you are the narrator and you are the actor in subjective story. Narrator means the one who narrates, connects the incidences. Remember that a writer is not always a narrator. Often a writer is narrator, but it is not compulsory that every time a writer is a narrator. You read the novels of Agatha Christie. She is a never narrator. Narrator is something else there. So not necessary that always a writer is a narrator, but here you are the narrator here in the story, in the subjective story. You are connecting the story. Second, happens with you or before you. This is very important thing with subjective story. This incident happens with you or before you. Like you can say, that time I was 10 years old, I was in the fourth standard and I was going to school. It was bright morning. I was very happy because this day we had a plan to go for outing, and thus I started a story. This incident is going to revolve around you. Second way, second before you. That time I was going to school and I saw one poor, weak, haggard cat was there in the middle of the road. It was crying aloud. You are watching it. At once, one truck came and it applied its brake just before it. One poor lady came there. She picked up that cat. It she paid it with milk or all. So this way you describe the incident took place before you. Remember that this two way you can write subjective story. Third feature of this subjective story is that it is not very old incident that you remember, children. You cannot say this incident took place 1,000 years ago when I was in fourth standard. Wrong. Remember that bear one logic in your mind that what is your age and how old can be the incident. That incident should not be older than your age. This is very necessary. These precautions you have to take while writing subjective story, and you decide whether that can be subjective story or objective story. Sometimes in the examination, they are specifically shaping the story the way that it can be written only objective. Like there was a king. That king was very cruel. That king was very powerful. So this will be objective story. This cannot be a subjective story. Quite clear. Now we move to this objective story. Here, you may be the narrator. What I'm telling you, as you are writing a story, normally you are the narrator. But if it is an objective story, it is not necessary that you are the narrator. The narrator can be anybody else. Second, no use of the first person. One thing you remember, children, when you are writing objective story, no, that time you cannot use I, me, my, we, our, us, you, your. First person and second person, both you cannot use. That you remember, keep in your mind. Sometimes such mistakes are committed unknowingly. Can be very old or a contemporary incident. See, if it is objective story, no, the incident can be very old, hundreds of years old, thousands of years old, eons of years old. Doesn't matter. It can be the oldest one, no doubt. There can be king, there can be queen. It can be older incident or contemporary one. What do you mean by contemporary? Samakalin. Although the story took place during your age only, but it is objective story. Like I tell you, Dilip was very hardworking boy. He was very studious. He was very obedient. He was very cooperative. He was very concerned. He used to help his mother. He used to do his home assignment on time. He would be loved and liked by all teachers, etc. etc. I am talking about Dilip, but you will not be seen there. I cannot say, and I was his friend. No, now you are talking about Dilip. So here, this is objective story. Here, you will not be seen. Although you are describing his life and whatever happened with you, with him, you are describing, but here you are not available or present. Can have imaginary characters. You have all freedom, particularly in objective story, to use any of the characters. But in subjective story, there should be limitations of choosing the characters. In objective story, there can be king, demon, god, fairy, trees, animals, even abstract character can be there. Like in a deep jungle, there was one lion. He was the king of that forest. One day he announced that all the animals are expected to assemble in my court immediately because I am going to make a very important proclamation. All the animals from entire corner of forest started rushing towards the court, and they all assembled there, and their king made a thunderous announcement that from today, now here you are putting inverted comma. From today, no animal will go there, here, all these things. You can use any character in this objective story. So that is what I told you, something all thing about story. But you remember, before you write story, one thing has to be born in your mind, that you cannot write story, you cannot start writing story unless and until you have one aim. Don't forget to use catchy title. These are the rubrics of story writing. Have catchy title first. Second, describe the situation. Describe the situation. Then let there be character, let there be dialogue, let there be a suspense. Whatever may be the story, there should be suspense unless and until readers have something in your story to read till the end. Whatever may be the situation, but there should be one suspense. I want to give you one example of Sairat movie. You know that in that movie is of 30 seconds only. That movie has been blockbuster only because in the last 30 seconds, that movie has given a very nice and fabulous reveal. That reveal matters. Don't forget to write a moral. And see, children, if you are following all these precautions properly without committing any spelling mistake, grammatical mistake, I guarantee you, I assure you that you can score 5 out of 5 marks in story writing. I hope you liked and enjoyed my video. I also expect that you have learned many things about story writing. Thank you very much for watching my video and stay home, stay safe and enjoy your life.